Okay, so I am Susan Shepard, and my company's called Getting What You Want. And just a little bit about me is that I've been a relationship coach for 25 years. And I've done other things as well. I was an ER nurse for about 40 years. And so there's some overlap there. I'm not that old.
I was going to say, being an ER nurse probably set you up well to be a relationship coach, right?
Well, it does. You did a lot of crisis intervention, a lot of real crisis intervention, and it's very cool because it did make a big difference. And so I actually started out being a business coach, and I got a business degree after my nursing degree, and I worked with Michael Gerber for a couple of years and was a small business development coach. And then I got divorced. I was married for 23 years to this awesome man, and he really was an awesome man. And he was a Vietnam vet with PTSD, however, and we struggled a lot because of that. And it took me 17 years to figure out that that was the problem, because he wouldn't talk about it. It was off limits. And so then when we finally did get divorced, I mean, we never really, as far as he was concerned, we never got divorced. As far as I was concerned, we did. But he never acknowledged the divorce. And he actually died in 1999. And he was a great man and a wonderful dad. We had 3 children together. And after we got divorced, I said, I need to learn how to do this different. So I took every relationship course I could find. I just started studying relationships for my own benefit, not because I was going to do anything with it. And then I started dating a young man. He was 18 years younger, and he was Persian and Jewish and firstborn son of 7, and his mother and I were the exact same age. And so it didn't last very long, obviously.
It was a whole lot of fun.
Well, it was great fun. And he and I actually remained really good friends. And he went back to dating his own girlfriend for 2 years. And they had this horrible, dramatic relationship. It was up and down and all over the place, with lots of breakups and get back together. And she really didn't like me very much. And he and I used to talk a lot. And so after about 2 years of their drama, I happened to call one day, and she answered the phone and she said, "Oh, I'm so glad you called. I really want to talk to you." And I'm like, "Why? You don't even like me." And she said, "Oh, I know, really, I don't like you. But," she said, "what I've noticed is that he's different with you than he is with me. And it's like, I've decided he's not what I want, so you could have him." And I'm like, well, that really was never an issue. But then she said, "It's kind of like I've had his body, but you've had his soul. And I want you to teach me how to do that." And I was flabbergasted. I actually didn't know what to say. I said no, because first of all, I didn't trust her. And second of all, I didn't have any idea how to teach her what I did. But she kept asking me. And so after her asking me for a couple of months, I said, okay, we'll do this on a trial basis. And I started working with her. And ultimately, I ended up coaching her for 2 years. She became one of my dearest friends. She also helped me develop the system that I still use to this day. And she's been married for 24 years to somebody she went to high school with that she couldn't see at the time because he was outside her comfort zone. And that's how I became a relationship coach. And I switched because it was a whole lot more fun talking about love and sex than it was talking about marketing and management.
Isn't that the truth?
Oh my God, it's so much more fun.
If I talk about sex, all right, you know what I mean? You know, those girls throw me out of the room real quick. So
I was going to say, go in and change the title right away. We'll fill this room.
Hold on. I started one the other night that said, "Are you having an affair with BLAB?" Yeah.
No, you should have said, "Are you having an affair
with BLAB?"
No, leave BLAB out.
So I actually have a book that's in editing called Who's Cheating Who, and it's all about having affairs.
Oh, wow.
And have a couple other books that I've written and a bunch of other stuff. But, you know, that's enough about me. So tell me about you. What's your situation, and how long have you been single?
Oh, me? Oh,
Yeah.
I, not PSD, but I was married to my best friend. I still love him to this day. He's a wonderful man. I have not one bad word to say about him. Um, but we were together for 20 plus years. I met him when I was 25. He was 15 years my senior. And we just hit that age difference where he just wanted different things. He wanted to be a little bit more sedentary, a little bit more like, okay, I'm winding down kind of where I'm at in my life. I want to relax. I don't want to be crazy. I don't want to, and I was ramping up my life. I was 42. And so I was in the throes of, I finished my degree. I built my company. I was at the point where I was ready to travel and go crazy in terms of, I finally have money and time. Whoa, and he just didn't want to go. And then, it took a long time it took plus 5 years for it to slightly slow to the point where I just knew that no harm, no foul. We had an amazing relationship. He's the reason why I achieved so many things out of my life, and I'm indebted to him. But when you wake up in the morning and your feet hit the floor and you don't want the same things, eventually it wears on you, and it wears the relationship down. And I love I think it's Stephen Covey says the emotional bank account. You'd make deposits, you make withdrawals. And I think it got to the point where I felt like I was actually being mean to him. I was not nice to him anymore. I wasn't the wife I was for many years. And so, we're still very, very close. We're still very good friends, and I would do anything for him. But I don't want to, and like I said, I don't not love you. I just don't want to be married to you anymore. Because marriage means so much to me. When I say I want to be with somebody, it means there's a lot of things that go around that. And so I've been single. I had a long-term relationship for about 4 years, but now I've been officially single for another 4. So, I'm starting to date again. Probably in the last 6 months or 8 months, I've just kind of putting my hat in the ring again to see where it goes. And so I'm very curious about what your topic is today.
So the topic is dating outside your comfort zone. And my 5-step process that I developed 25 years ago, it only became a 5-step process about 3 years ago, but, I named it Love with Class. And, but it's actually the process that I've been using for 25 years. And the 5-step process is C stands for clarity. What do you really want? L stands for love yourself, which you have to love yourself so that there's enough room left over to love somebody else. A stands for learn how to ask for what you want, because direct communication works. The first S stands for success with the 3 essential ingredients. If you have these 3 ingredients, you have a foundation. If you're missing one of them, you're doomed. It's going to fail. Mm-hmm. So the 3 ingredients are chemistry, which is the easy one, compatibility, which is the hardest one because everybody's compatibility issues are different, and love with respect. You can love somebody and not respect them. You can respect somebody and not love them. But if you have both, then you're going to be committed to each other. Mm-hmm. So, and then the last step, the last S stands for step up and step out. Because if you've done all the work I've given you to do in those first 4 steps, you're ready to go and choose who you want. Mm. And I believe, my belief about it is that women do the choosing and women do the ending of relationships. I think that men have very little to say about it. And it's not because they're not capable. It's because they want a relationship because they want the comfort of a relationship. They want to be comfortable in their relationship. And women want a lot more than that. Women want a lot more detail. They want a lot more attention. They want a lot more of everything. And women are the ones who are not satisfied in their relationships. And that's why I think that women do the choosing and women do the ending.
Interesting concept. I'm going to, in my own personal experience, I'm going to say that's true only in a sense that when I've done mostly for me, it's like the ending of relationships where a man has been, they just sit. They would just it's
They'll
like
stay until they've been dismissed.
And it's usually, it's so far in my entire experience, it's been me who said,
Well, it's been my experience in 25 years of coaching that's the way it works.
I really resonate with that, what you just said.
So the comfort zone part is all about the love yourself step, that second step. So
wait, I want to know why is Tim, why are you here?
Because he's my friend and he's supporting me to do this because this is my very first
I found the love of my life. It only took me 3 marriages to do it. But
okay. So you're here to share the mistakes you made.
Sure, I will share the mistakes I made. Okay, number one, you know what I mean. Apparently, right now, I'm being reported as having an affair with BLAB. I apparently
Hi, Robert.
romance. All right, things like this have happened in my life, but no, Susan's my friend, and this is her first one, and I wanted to jump in. So here's, Robert is texting me going, yeah, why are you there?
Your wife is texting you going, why are you there?
I know why he's here. He's here because he's very cool and he's a big support system for me. And we've been in the same mastermind for a couple of years. And this is my very first.
I know her daughters and some of the people, other people in the room and in our world. We would jump to support each other in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And I told her I'm going to be here for a little bit. That's why I was trying to grab other people in here because I'm not going to be able to be here for her full hour. I have another meeting, but I'm here to help her as she gets started. I've been doing this for about 2 weeks now, and I do it every night. So
I've done a couple of random little labs, but this is the first real one that I'm doing for my coaching stuff. That's what I do.
Some props.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wait.
Oh, thank you. So anyway, back to the comfort zone thing. So what my perception is that we all have preconceived notions about who the opposite sex are for each of us as we learned from the intimate relationships we've had in our life. And by intimate, I don't mean sexual. I mean intimate, like your dad and your brothers and maybe any bosses that you've had or any other long-term, what I would term intimate friendships with the opposite sex. And that's who your perception of men are. And as you go in and out of relationships, you get disappointed. And maybe you start out open like this because I'm open to everybody. And then as you get disappointed, it gets narrower and narrower and narrower and narrower. And then suddenly you're in your 40s or 50s and you're looking down a little funnel like this and you're looking for a person that fits this description, this little tiny description. And that person doesn't exist. And so my perception about it is that you need to go out here. You need to go outside your comfort zone and expand your consciousness about who the opposite sex is for you in order to meet somebody that will be a good partner for you. And I have so many examples of this. I mean, it's just phenomenal, the examples I have about how somebody met someone that was so far outside their comfort zone that wasn't, I mean, I can give you a personal example of my own.
Give an example because I'd like to understand that a little bit more.
So I'll give you my personal example, okay? So a couple of years ago, I met a young man who had worked for me in the emergency room in 1990. And at the time, I think I was 69 and he was 43. And we really fell in love. I mean, it was instantaneous. We just clicked on so many different levels. And he was somebody who was so far outside my comfort zone. There's no way that, I would have even considered. Well, actually, I have to tell you about the first one. The first one was I was 64 and he was 32. And he was.
Oh, you little cougar, you.
But I was a cougar before the term was invented. So I don't think I'm really a cougar.
Kidding. But I don't have a problem with age differences.
I don't know. Anyway, I met this guy when I was doing a production. I was a production manager for a commercial. And he was a cameraman. And he was 32. And I was 64. And he was Korean, which at that time I really didn't like much of the Koreans. And I didn't like them because I thought they were rude and obnoxious. And I had been working with a whole bunch of them for a long time. And then he was one of these skinny guys. You know, the kind of skinny guys that turn sideways and disappear? He was one of those. He was 32, and he was actually married, but his wife had left him and taken his kids and gone to Korea because she wanted him to give up his career. And we went out for sushi one night just because we were the last people leaving the set. And we were hungry. So it was 10 o'clock at night, and we went to have sushi. We ended up staying there till the restaurant closed. And he said, I don't know what's going on, but I'm really attracted to you. And I'm like, you what? Huh? You are? And it was so outside my comfort zone. It was like, he was, younger than my kids, and just nothing that I would ever have considered. And we ended up having a relationship for about 6 months. And it was really great. And what happened is he opened me up to the possibility of a different relationship. So a couple years later, when I met this other one who had been one of my employees, and he was 43 and he was Korean, and we just fell in love. And for about 4 or 5 months, we were joined at the hip, basically. And at the time, my oldest daughter and her husband and their 4 kids were living in my house. And I was living in my garage apartment. And he would come over and he'd bring ice cream for the little kids. They were 4 and 2 at the time. And we would go out, and then we'd play with the kids, and we'd go out. And anyway, he had to go to China on business. And when he went to China, he sort of pulled away. And when he came back, he just backed out of the relationship. And I thought, at first I thought, oh, I must have done something. And then I went, no, I didn't do anything. This was awesome. And what I was so sure it was all about him wanting to have kids. And I'm 69 and he's 43, and it's not possible. So I let him go. And so about 9 months later, what happened was, another friend of mine who was married to a Korean woman, their daughter was getting married, and he was looking for lyrics to a Korean song. So I just messaged out to all my Korean friends, do you have the lyrics for this song? And I no sooner sent the message, and he called me. He said, I want to talk to you. I want to tell you what happened. And I said, you don't have to, I know. And he said, no, I really want to tell you. And I said, all right, what? He said, well, I realized, he said, that I really wanted a family. I really wanted to have kids. And he said, not only did I know you couldn't do it, he said, I figured you'd probably try. And I went, well, I thought about it, but I don't think I would try. But anyway, so what happened is we're still very good friends. I mean, he hasn't really dated anybody. He's had one date since then, but he's still around. We're friends. We do some business together. But what happened is that outside my comfort zone, that first guy that I met was way outside my comfort zone. And he opened me enough to the possibility that I could have dated the second one. And that's what I'm talking about going outside your comfort zone. And I have lots more examples like that of people that are just way beyond what you ever thought you could have a relationship with. And then you stretch, and then you bounce back, but you never bounce back to where you were in the first place. You're open to more possibilities. And that's what the value of dating outside your comfort zone is. You go and you meet people that you normally wouldn't encounter. Because if you keep encountering the same people, you're going to keep repeating the same mistakes and having the same relationships over and over again.
So you're talking about, when you talk about out of your comfort zone, I just want to clarify, because I mean, I definitely am open to different races and different things like that. But what's popping to my mind is comfort zone extends to maybe a physical attraction. Because I remember having my one girlfriend, she's in her 40s, and she would not go out with anybody. She wanted to go out with only young guys. And she wouldn't give somebody maybe on the other side, the upper, maybe towards the 50 side of the house, a chance. And I talked to her and I said, you fall in love. You might be attracted with the eyes. I said, but you fall in love with what that person is. And I said, give these guys a chance. Now she did wind up with, now she's got her super hot guy, but that's beside the point. But she did try to go outside of her comfort zone, and she dated men that were closer to, older. And I was really proud of her, but it's age. It's also maybe likes and dislikes, maybe I like, I don't know if I'll compromise about certain aspects of my values, but there's things that, when cause like I said, I'm doing the Tinder thing, and I don't know what's like for 30-year-olds, but I'm 51, and I'm finding that I'm finding some really, really nice men. Of course, I'm screening them well. You screen well before you to go any further with him, make sure they, who they are and things like that. But, you look at their profile, and Tinder's, I don't know anybody about Tinder. You swipe right. If you look at their picture and you go, oh, hot, whoop, go to the right, hot. No, anyway, you go right, left, whatever it is. I always, if somebody catches my eye, but I'm looking, it's not always what they look like. It's what's in their eyes. It's like, so I've actually swiped the other way on some. Maybe I don't necessarily find them the most attractive person, like, but there's something about them. And then I'll read their profile and I'll go, well, wow, okay, that person look, they've traveled, they've done this, they've done that. And all of a sudden you go, well, wow, maybe this person is somebody I want to have in my life, and then let it go from there. But I think getting past that, everybody wants to go for that. I'm attracted to this or that first. And you say, yeah, I get that. But sometimes you need to go ahead and take that next step. And that's what I'm hearing from you.
Yes,
don't
exactly.
Just because.
Don't eliminate people just because you don't like their looks. Well,
not dislike their looks, but what I'm saying is that you're not like hot and bothered. Actually, it's good. We
right.
We call it, what is she? Oh, sprung. My girlfriend calls it. She goes, actually, you're better off going out with somebody you're not sprung about, because you don't do those crazy things and accept any behavior because you're all hot and bothered for them. When, because when you're sprung about somebody, it's just like,
yeah,
they can do the most.
Your perception is tilted.
You justify you justify why they did this.
You make excuses. You make excuses and justify everything they do.
So that's what I heard. That's what I heard you say. I don't know, audience, you're out there. What did you hear her say? I can't.
There's some interesting people out there. Who is Addicted Grammar? Why don't you jump in and join us here? And I'm seeing comments. There you go.
So Tim, how about you? So what's your, I know you're in a relationship, but what about your perspective? You're on that first C, which is out of your comfort zone.
For me, getting out of my comfort zone when it came to dating was I was single for many years, and I really wasn't looking to put somebody in my life in a serious mode. And there was part of me that was like, I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to keep being single. I kind of like the life. I can go hang out with somebody who I want, or I can go spend time with one person. And I had a couple of girls that I would go hang out with. We'd have dinner on a regular basis, or we'd go to the movies. We'd do, dating things. And I kind of enjoyed it. But I also was in a place that, my daughter was coming of age. She was getting to be 18 years of age. And it was like, I wanted to get to that point where it was okay for me to move on past it. And I realized I did not want to get into a relationship if I wasn't ready, because I'd been there before and I'd just gotten into something. So I had somebody to hold on to. I didn't want that. I had gotten hurt pretty bad, and I was taking my time healing from it. But part of me was getting out of the comfort zone was my wife and I met on eHarmony, 7-8 years ago now. I think we've been together 7 years. Yeah. Her friend put her on it because she was sick of hearing her complain about being single, and I got on because I was trying to prove it wrong.
I can see that. Yeah. I agree.
And now Susan knows her. Susan's met my wife.
Yes, his wife is delightful.
Yeah, we're a perfect match. You know what I mean? And as you get older in age, you know what I mean. When we were younger, we thought about guys. We thought about one thing. You know what I mean? As girls get older, they think
still
about
do, but that's beside the point. You just suppress it a little bit more now.
But the truth is, from a guy's perspective, in my world, is I learned to build a relationship, and I learned to trust. And I learned that when there's times when I wasn't trusting, all right, I wasn't trustable. So
yeah,
I love that.
I think that's really true.
You're not trustable.
Susan and I are part of a mastermind in Los Angeles, and two of us see each other on regular. So we're going to see each other in a couple of weeks. And there's times I go out to events out there, and I am friends with so many people in that. I'm going to tell you that this is truth, and Susan Gwen knows it because we talk about it all the time. Is I share rooms with people, and I've shared room with 3 women one time, and my wife knew it. And most people are like, "Oh, wow, that's not proper for marriage." My wife's like, "If he's going to go cheat on me and do me wrong, I'm sure he's not going to call me up and tell me."
Yep.
And she trusts me. And she's on the road. Gosh, she's been gone for 3 weeks straight. She comes home for 2 days and leaves. That's what Robert and I was joking. Robert and I, it started as a joke that I'm having an affair with BLAB. All right, and we all want someone to connect with us on a level. All right, and whether you're a guy or a girl. There's things I like to connect on. There's certain things in a relationship world I connect with Gwen on, but I'm a business guy. There's certain business things I got to connect on. You know what I mean? And like there are people who feed me is why I'm on BLAB. Well, that's true in your relationships. You're not going to find those people that you are going to need who feed your communication and feed that warmth inside of you, whether it's business or relationship for your spouse. All right, until you go out and find new people. The same 6 people you've been hanging around with are probably not going to be your dating people. Would you agree with that, Susan?
I would totally agree. Yeah.
But I guess you're mixing a little bit. You can't date a person that you work with. That's my opinion.
I dated once.
Well, you can, but it generally causes complications.
You both better be adults.
There's ethic, there's method. Sorry for my expressions, but English is not my first language, so it's a little bit complicated. As I was saying, Tim he says he's trustable, and I believe him, and because he was raised like that. Am I correct, Tim?
Yeah. And truthfully, I mean, there's almost every one of the girls who've shared a room with me, my wife knows who they are. She comes out, she'll be at the mastermind with us next month, and she comes out there sometimes, but she doesn't come out there all the time.
Yeah, but
tells me up, hey, I met this great guy in a bar, and she starts talking to him in the airports. You know what I mean?
But you need to be trustable, and so as she.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
there's
talk to them.
Here's the truth is, it's not about sex, it's about relationships. Two different things. There's a big difference between two different L words, love and lust.
Yes. Where are you from? Where are you from? That's important. Yes, the culture where you are, it's very, very important in that matter. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Where I am, sex is way, way important. In Portugal?
Portugal?
I am Portugal. I am Portuguese. Here, sex is a major thing. It's a major issue between couples. Or you have, or you don't have. That's quite simple. If you have sex in a relationship, it goes smooth. If yes, don't smile.
I don't know about that. I don't know. I mean, I know what you're saying, but you have to. But you know, my mom told me this. My mom told me this, and this is for the women's aspect of it. You know, as a woman, my mom told me this year. She goes, "I told your dad." She goes, "I don't have a switch in my back where you flip it on Friday night and we get it done." He goes, "If you want to make love to me, you have to start on Monday. So when Friday comes around, I'm there and I'm with you." And that, I understand the physical part of sex, but what we're talking about is the connection part of sex before you get there.
Yes.
Because you know, you can make me ready or you can make me not ready. And I'm not talking about the technicality of it. I'm talking about
the seduction.
Women go here.
You're talking about the seduction.
It's the seduction, and it's all of those other things. It's all of those. Like I don't remember his name. He wrote a book called Love and Respect, and he talks about, it's that process. And women want to be loved, men want to be respected, and for women, we need that feeling before we get to Friday and sex. So that's just my opinion. As I understand that,
you like to be adored before you have the sex properly.
Well, it's that switch. There's not one there, is there?
No, there's no switch.
No. At least visually.
The thing is that I believe that women love sex as much as men do.
Karen is right. Karen says that men also want to be needed.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Men want approval and appreciation more than they want sex.
Well, at least
maybe
here,
at times.
No. At least here, if a man don't feel desired by his home woman, he seek out. He search another woman, not for sex, just to feel desired. Mm-hmm. It's quite usually here. Not that I think it's correct, but it's like this.
Susan, I'm gonna have to go. I gotta go get ready for something. So.
Okay, Tim. Thank you for hanging in there.
Right, so your first. Bye, Tim.
Bye, nice to meet you.
Bye, Tim.
So your first C was be out of your comfort zone. Be open to maybe going out with or connecting with somebody that's maybe not what you saw. It's not what you've always had.
I'll give you an example of myself. I was raised and like a strict. I had a strict education, if you know what I mean, to be respectful. But in other side, I was raised to control, to have the control of all the matters, all of the situations. So my first real relationship, I was a lot of controlling. I liked her very much. She liked me, but I got tired. I just didn't want to control anymore. She was like a little puppy. I said, come, and she came. I said, go, and she went. But that's not for me. I'm in a new relationship, and we share responsibilities. I guess it's even good. When she wants, she can be lots of bossy. She's really, really bad when she wants. But that's with my personality, that's awesome. We understand each other. I let her be bossy. I let her say what she wants, do what she wants. But when I talk, she has respect, and she let me do what I want. That's a major concern on all the relationships. That's what I thought.
Interesting. Well, so can we go back to your list? I'm really, I only have so much time. I'm not sure how long this BLAB is. How long is a BLAB?
I don't know. An hour, I guess.
So the first C, what's the next one?
C is for clarity.
Okay. Oh no, what was the first one? Comfort zone.
Well, no, the 5-step process is love with class. CLASS.
Okay. So we're on to the first C.
C is clarity. Okay. That's where you have to figure out, what do you want? What do you want your life to look like? What do you want your relationship to look like? How do you want it to be? And you really have to do a little work on yourself to define what are the things that are important to you. What are your values? What are your highest values? How do you want to be treated? And what is the relationship setup that you want? And what are you unwilling to tolerate? So that's the first step. The second step is the love yourself step, and that's where we do the comfort zone.
I want to go back to the first step. I want to know, can you give us some hints on how to do that?
Oh, I have a whole bunch of tools to do that.
Well, wait. Let's give us one tool that might help us out. That
make a toleration list.
Oh, tell us.
Toleration list is everything in your life that you're tolerating. Everything from a burnt out light bulb in your closet to the way your life is, and you make this list. And as you make the list and you write it all down, what happens is it goes out of your brain and it goes into your subconscious, and your other than conscious mind starts working on these things, and they start going away because you take care of them.
So you start eliminating them. Interesting.
So
kind of like one of the things I've done in looking at whether I should stay or go is I do a plus delta. So one side, I go, what's really good about this situation? And I do this on a lot of different things, not just like looking at a relationship. And then the other side is what's bad. And when I write those down and I get them out of my head, like you said, where you're getting clarity around something, and I say, and then I look at that list and I go, well, one, if the bad is longer than the good, I really have to sit down and go, well, how are these really deal breakers? You know, we overuse that term, but is there anything in here? And you got to think, is this 10 years from now? Am I going to be able to live with this? 5 years from now? Or should I be living with this? And you look at those things, and then you make this. And this is where it's all about clarity, and I love that. It's all about until you get clear, you cannot expect to enter into a relationship and at a place where you know whether this is a stay or go situation.
You have to be clear about what you want. Once you get the clarity about what you want, it will show up for you.
Well,
it's the power of intention.
Is what you want really what you need? Most of the times it isn't.
Well, it depends. You know, if the whole thing about clarity is getting to know who you are, getting to know yourself, because most people don't know themselves. They are not aware of really where they're going, what they want, what they're trying to do. And for the most part, I would say most of the clients that I've had, they have no clue about what they want when they start working with me. They think they have a sense of it. You know, they have a sense of it. They have a feeling about it. But as far as knowing exactly what they want, and after we do the work on the clarity stuff with the toleration list and the values lists and the clean sweep, where you take a look at your whole life and the different areas of your life and see how much of it are you really satisfied with, and what's really working for you and what isn't.
I don't know about Janice, but in the relationship that I am now, with her, I am what I want to be. I know what I am. I know myself really well. And with her, I am what I want to be, what I am trying to be. Do you understand?
Well, you know, I tell my clients, all of them, that the most important thing is for you to be authentic all of the time. Which means if something makes you angry, you get to say it makes you angry. So say what you mean and mean what you say. Because if you don't, you're pretending to be somebody you're not. And then you have to continue to pretend to be that person for as long as you're in that relationship. No, and it really sucks.
No, but I am.
Oh, I'm not questioning.
Yes, I know what you're trying to get. But I am. The question is that when... if you see a comment, leave where it says some of us relationship folks don't even know what we really want or need. I was in serial relationship for so long, I don't relate who I am as a single man.
Exactly.
That's interesting. But I know what I was when I was single. I was not reliable, let's say. I was quite wild. That not that I like that. My life went that way.
Well, that's pretty normal, actually. If you wanna know the truth, that is pretty normal.
Yes, but my life went that way, and I am reliable. Let's say that way, but. With her, I am responsible. That's what I want to be. I just need how do we say? I just need the guidance to be.
Hi, Bruce. Welcome.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
So next step, Janice will talk.
I think that what's really important about the clarity step is that you figure out really who you are and what's going to make you happy. what do you need in order to feel like you are in a relationship that's working for you? Not so much everything. It's not like you're going to find perfection, because you're never going to find perfection in any relationship. But there, you can get pretty close.
If I might just say something, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for me, a lot of times I think that it's finding that balance in life, and I find that to be the case in a lot of areas. But for me, the balance in finding a relationship that works for me has a lot to do with, the comment that I made earlier. I guess I'm very much of a people pleaser, and my business is oriented around customer service, and that's how I was brought up. It is really in a service kind of situation that I found myself in relationships, and I don't mean that to mean that I was always like feeling subordinate in a relationship. I certainly felt that I had relationships that started out anyway as equal, if you're talking about a power exchange kind of a thing. But sometimes when you're really, really trying hard to find the other person's sweet spot, in other words, like where their zone really is, and fit into that, sometimes, you end up doing stuff that you normally wouldn't do. For instance, I just wasn't, I stopped reading in my last relationship because I just felt like I didn't have time for it. It was a big mistake for me because it's sort of like, for me, it's sort of like stopping meditating. I need those times. I need that alone time. I need the downtime. I need the clarity, as you were saying earlier, perhaps to use that word. But it's been very difficult for me to be clear about in the throes of beginning a relationship. When you fall in love with somebody, for instance, it's not a logical process. Yeah. And it's not something where you can just sit down and say, let's analyze this love feeling I've got going on here. We don't do that. We tend to get, at least I do, I tend to get over-involved. And I get deep very, very quickly, and for some people that's a big turnoff, apparently. Can you speak a little bit to that?
I understand what she's saying. Sorry, Susan, I knew you were talking, but I am talking about myself. I am a little bit like you. I understand perfectly what you said, but in this relationship, I just said I'm not living the life I had, but I can adapt it. Just for you, I'll adapt it. I'm not. I used to play every day. I used to play soccer every day, at least 90 minutes, and I said, "No, you don't want me to play. I'm still going to play, but I'm not playing every day. I'm playing 3 days a week. Do you understand? Don't leave what you did. Just adapt it."
Now,
Yes.
when you said that this person did not want you to play soccer, that's kind of an interesting point, because from my point of view, and maybe that's where I build up a certain amount of resentment after over the years of in a relationship, when you are the one who is saying to somebody, why should you not get what you want? Why should you stop or adapt or change your, who am I to say, I don't want you to do this or do that? And the way that I was brought up was to feel as if I'm in a relationship with a woman, she has every right to do whatever she wants to do. In fact, my goal is to allow her, not to allow her, let's say that, because I don't really like that word too much, but to allow myself to open up to say, I have needs and so do you. They're co-equally important. And let's see what we can do to further your life, to get you in a place where you're really in that zone. And I guess I just assume that the other person is going to do the same for me. And when that doesn't come back, it's sort of like saying I love you to somebody and them just saying, okay.
Well,
it's like, oh boy.
Yeah, I understand, but she didn't have forbidden me. Just I had a problem on my hip, and I had to be in surgery. So she was concerned about it.
Okay, I get it.
But
I get it.
but I needed to make a point, because I knew that if I stopped for real, that I wasn't being able to come back to soccer. Do you understand?
Sure.
Right.
Yes.
It's just
Right.
to maintain a little of before.
So you know that relationship, by definition, means compromise.
Yes.
Absolutely. Boy, did I ever try to pull that one off on the last one. I said this very same thing. And he was like, I don't compromise. What are you talking about? And I was like, oh, wow.
Well, I mean,
Right.
really, if you just think about it, just the idea of spending time with someone, you have to adjust your life to allow room for someone to be there. And that's a compromise.
All of life is in that sense, all of life is a relationship, and therefore all of life is compromise. You simply have to do that when you open the door for somebody, for instance. You are compromising your position, your physical position. You're opening the door for that person to go through the door first. These things we take on as if, I do anyway, automatically. It is an automatic response for me. If somebody says, well, you know what, I don't really want to go to that movie that you want to go to. And my immediate response is, let's find something that we can both like. Now, if on the other hand of that, the person says, yeah, I don't want to do that, and that's it. And you say, okay, let's figure out something where you can get what you want, I can get what I want, and I'm going to go to this thing anyway. I just want to give you the first right of refusal. That's what we used to call it, back in the day. And that was fine. That seems to work out quite well in some relationships. For some reason, I forgot how to do that. Like take my own and say, yeah, this is what I want to do. So I ended up after like a year of a relationship not getting what I want. Because it's really my responsibility, isn't it? I didn't ever ask for it, so she never knew.
Not quite, Bruce. Not quite.
Well, the thing is, my perception of this is that each person has 100% accountability for themselves and the relationship. The relationship is a separate entity.
Yes.
It's like there's you and there's her, or there's her and there's him, and then there's the relationship over here, and it's a separate entity, and you have to treat it like it's a separate entity. You have to give it attention. You have to, and so many people, they think, oh, I'm in a relationship, okay, I can just coast now,
And that depends on the personality.
Well, it's pretty common. It's pretty common.
Well, I even akin this to my girlfriends. If I have to pay attention to my girlfriends, because if I don't pay attention and invest time and nurture the relationship, I'll lose that friendship. Yep. And, and then there's some people that, I meet socially and I'm like, well, they're nice, but I'm not going to nurture the relationship with them. And then, but when I'm in a relationship, so a relationship is a relationship, whether it's your mom, your dad, your mate, your life partner, your girlfriend, your
kids,
guy friends. You got to do that with your guy friends too, or they're like, dude, where are you? Yeah, I'm from California.
I am too.
I was just going to say, me too. I'm from Santa Barbara. That was my thing.
Where in California?
Well, I was saying to Bruce earlier. That depends on how you feel and how you interact with her. In my kind of way, we don't say it like you said, let's go to a movie. Well, I don't want to see that one. Well, we don't do like that. We do like, yeah, you want to see that film? I can see it, but later we'll see a movie that I want.
Okay.
It's better that way.
So back and forth.
Yeah.
I think that's realistic. Let's let's get to a relationship point where the person that we choose to spend time around is choosing to spend time around us doing a variety of things that perhaps they've never done before. And so that we can both kind of create something that is our own. Like I know that I've come into relationships before with all of my old baggage, which I don't think that you can, easily launch out on a boat, and say, okay, that's that. Let's start anew. We all come with all kinds of baggage. My sister had something to say one time. She said, I said, I just think I have too much baggage for this girl. And she said, first, who doesn't come into a relationship with baggage? Somebody who has no past. I mean, can you really trust that person?
So I have a theory. I actually have a theory about relationship. That relationship, the reason that you have a relationship is that you can go back and get rid of your old baggage and heal your wounds. That if you are in a good relationship, that you can dive into those situations together and heal them and really eliminate them from the baggage situation.
Well,
if you're in a good
and you have to be in a good relationship.
As I understood before, Bruce is the type of way, with or without wounds, he just dive. With or without water, he just dive. He just don't want to know. That's just like me.
I don't want to know.
You want to hedge your bet a little bit. You really want to do a little bit of research so that you're not diving into a relationship that's going to, give you more baggage.
Well, so many people want to do what gets me is in dating right now is I met somebody the first time we had a date. And we had a wonderful lunch. Oh my gosh. I was like, wow, this is just, really a lot of things in common. We speak the same speak. And I'm like, wow, this guy's really cool. Left me, he's driving. And about an hour later, he calls me up and he goes, so you live, 100 miles away or 50 miles away, right? Because in the Bay Area, I'm in Sacramento. And he said, how are we going to do this relationship? And I literally said, what? I just met you. So people want to jump in like, wow, we got along for 5 seconds. So now we're in. And I'm like, so of course I'm doing the cat, saying, I'm like, whoa. Wait. Let's now I think that's the mistake. People think you just add water and you instantly have a relationship. And I think that's for me, I struggle with that.
Yeah.
But
I'm more like,
more common.
Wait a minute.
It's like you don't ask somebody to marry you the first time you meet them. You maybe ask, let's have coffee.
Well, and I don't, you guys come from the guy perspective, and I come from the woman. I'm being very, 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 very candid here, but so many people, I don't jump into bed with people. I'm not one of those people where like, wow, you're really cool and I'm attracted, so I'm very selective. And in the pressure on a woman's side, I think is incredible. I mean, I get to the point where I'm just like, you know what? I'm not even going to go. I'm not going to go out on a date. This is
the rule of thumb that I have for all my clients is no sex for 90 days after you've been in significant relationship.
No.
Sorry, guys. It's like the men need to step up. It's like once you've had sex with somebody, it alters the relationship, and you never get to know that person the way that they were before you had sex with them.
Yes, completely.
Sorry, it does.
Yes, you're right.
I have something.
I'm gonna go look at the comment section because it's got to be hilarious right now.
So the thing, a little aside that I have about that is that I've been in a couple of relationships now. Within the first 3 weeks,
we're losing you.
Yes.
That feedback is terrible. Hello?
Oh, there you go.
It's better now.
Okay, so what I was saying is that within the first 3 weeks of a relationship, sometimes what'll happen for me, I've been in a couple of relationships like this, where the girl will say, like, well, are you not into me? And I'm like, what are you talking about? We've been spending a lot of time together. We've gone out a lot. I don't know what you're really getting at. What do you mean? Well, I mean, it just seems like normally, we would have had sex by now.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, wow, okay, well, for me personally speaking, I'm a really slow starter in that way. I don't,
That's actually good.
And,
I understand, Bruce. I understand, Bruce.
You know what? I wonder if it's because people think that sex seals the deal.
I think some people think that.
I guess
something like that.
maybe because. So for a lot of people, a lot of guys that I've met are very, very different than me, and if you start out a relationship and you say, yeah, I'm like really a different type of person than most people that you've met, I think that's a turnoff in itself, because it sort of sounds like a line, that they've heard before, and they're like, yeah, what are you trying to get? And I'm thinking, well, okay, you're going to figure it out, pretty soon, that I am really different. And so then when I get that feedback, like either that or I get like a little while ago, I got, you're just too sensitive. And I thought, all right, what the hell? I mean, I'm being me, and that's just me. If you don't like a sensitive male guy, then what is it that you're really asking for? Because if you were asking for somebody who is more sensitive all the time, and then somebody who's sensitive comes along and you don't like that because that reminds you too much of your girlfriends or whatever it is, I'm not too sure what to do. Like I can only be me, and sooner or later I'm going to find the she that matches that me.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Bruce. That is exactly that's really right on. It's like you only can be who you are, and the thing about sex is this. I tell my clients, until you know that you want that person in your life, you shouldn't have sex with them, because there is an exception, okay? And I'm going to give you the crazy exception, okay? And this is actually in my book, the first book that I wrote. The exception is this. You meet somebody that you have great chemistry with, and you absolutely know you would not want a long-term relationship with that person, and you are horny as you can be, then just go for it, Because it's like, thank you and goodbye.
What we call those? So this is what we call them. We call them leaverites. You know what a leverite is?
No.
When I was a little kid, we would go walk around, and my dad would pick up a rock, and we'd be like, oh, it's pretty. And my dad said, well, that's a leverite. And you go, well, what's a leverite? And he says, it's really pretty. You pick it up, you look at it, and you enjoy it, and then you set it down, and you leave her right there.
Yeah, that's the same thing,
So we need leverite.
Yes.
But that's the exception I give to my clients. Otherwise, I say, if you want a serious relationship, you need to wait. You must wait until you get to know who this person is and determine if there's somebody you want in your life.
Addicted's like, no, don't cut us off.
No, it's not like that. It's just the same thing as Bruce said. In Portugal, even in the first date, you go with a girl, you have quite a nice time, even if it's only half an hour or an hour, and if you don't even try to kiss her, there's two possibilities: or she's ugly or you're gay. That's as simple as that. You just can't have a nice talk. I guess we have to be men as they think men should be. If we are,
well, you know what? The men can make the move, but it doesn't mean the women have to accept it.
That's quite right.
Because really, the women, honestly, women are in control of when sex happens.
That's right. But
well,
I don't know. I don't know.
Unless you're with Bruce.
Maybe that's it. Maybe I'm really a controlling person inside, and I just let that guy out, right?
This now officially is Bruce therapy session.
Right? Exactly. Well, that's why I came on here after all. That's what BlabGWYWComfort.
I don't know if Bruce agrees, but if we try, men are shit. If we don't try, men are shit. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Oh, I don't think that's true.
I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna lead us back a little, if you're okay with it. I'm really, because I know I do have somewhat of a limited time. So we've got 1C done. Did we move on to anything other?
Step is the love
Let's look at
yourself
that.
step. And okay. And
Oh, yeah, we
really,
did. Okay,
that's what this whole BLAB is all about, the dating outside your comfort zone. So the way that I have my clients do their love yourself step, they think they're going out to meet a lot of men, because what I tell them is you have to go meet 40 of the opposite sex who are outside your comfort zone. Now, you meet them. You do not date them. You meet them. You have conversation, intimate conversation, meaning you ask them all about themselves. You want to find out, who are they? What gets them up in the morning? What are their highest values? What are they passionate about? And how do they really, really treat the opposite sex? And the purpose in doing this is to say, I'm doing research. I'm trying to find out what are my limits? What are my boundaries here? What am I really looking for? And who are the people that I'm really attracted to? And so I tell my clients, you go and you keep a journal and you write down these people as you meet them. Now, you're not going to date them because you're not allowed to date yet. You're only doing research. So you do research on 40 of the opposite sex. And in that intimate conversation that you have with them, you find out, what is your highest value? What are you passionate about? How do you really treat the opposite sex? What gets you up in the morning? Without actually asking those questions. So you have to be able to initiate a conversation and have a meaningful conversation with them. And then you say, thank you for sharing. I really appreciate the time you've spent with me, but I got to go now. And what happens in that interaction is this. First of all, you're stretching your comfort zone. Secondly, if you can maintain the point of view that you really aren't concerned with what they think about you, you're only looking for what you think about them, because you're learning about yourself at this point. You are really, you're exploring the boundaries that you're willing to set for yourself in terms of what you're attracted to and what turns you off. And so I tell them, you write down the identity of this person, what you were attracted to, what turns you off, and if you got the answers to the questions. And then you say, thank you for sharing, and you go. And what happens many times is, because you're being authentic and because you're being real and because you're actually sharing a portion of yourself, because in order to get information from them, you've got to share a little bit about yourself, you become attractive to that person, and they may ask you out. And I tell them, no, you have to say no. You have to say,
can you say yes later? Okay. So you can go back. Okay. I'm like, well, what if you make really good chemistry with somebody?
Right. But you say to them at this point, I'm actually doing research. I'm not quite ready for that kind of relationship, but let me take your information and I'll get back to you when I am.
How do you meet these people to do this?
You can meet them anywhere, on an airplane, standing in line at the grocery store, in the park, walking. It doesn't matter.
You walk up and you say, you are somebody I would never date in my entire life. Can I meet with you for a minute? I'm just picturing how this is going to go down.
Yeah, it's sort of like that, but you don't really say, you're somebody I'd never date.
Well, I can tell you this much, in a comfort zone wise, just doing that in general is going to take a lot of. It wouldn't take me out of my comfort zone because I'm pretty good.
It really doesn't. I mean, honestly, if you're a woman and you want to talk to a man, all you have to do is say, and you could be standing in an elevator and you could say, "Isn't the sky blue today?" in the elevator, and you're giving the man permission to talk to you.
No, I believe me. I know. No, I know. But there's a lot of people who don't feel comfortable and then taking it to that step where it says, "Look, I don't want to date you, but I want to get together with you,"
mm-hmm.
and then to kind of go to the intimate place. I could just see where that might be kind of difficult. Can you?
It is difficult. And what happened? Shitless. Okay. And the second time you do it, it gets a little easier. And the third time you do it, you have fun with it. And that's what's happened with every single one of my clients who've done it. And I've had people doing it for 25 years.
Can you run us through, like give us one of the stories from your clients? I need a picture, like kind of how that might go down.
Let me think for a minute. So having a conversation with somebody, you just have a conversation with them. And then one of my clients, actually, she was at a wedding of one of my other clients. That's where I first met her. And I told her, I said, you're at this wedding with 400 people here. I want you to go and walk around this room until you meet somebody that you want to have a conversation with, and have a conversation with them. And so what happened was she wandered around the room, and she met somebody that she'd actually known before, had been possibly even been on a date with before. And she started having a conversation with them and just talking to him about all sorts of different things. And then she said, well, I have to go now because I'm going back with my friends. And he says, well, where are you going? Why aren't you going to stay here and hang out with me? She says, because I'm with my other friends, and thank you for sharing with me. And I need to go now. And she walked away. And she came back to me and she said, that was the most empowering experience I've had in ages. The ability to literally walk away and say, thank you for sharing with me. I appreciate talking to you, but I got to go now. And what happens is every single time you do that, your self-esteem goes up a notch.
That never works as a guy. I've tried that before. I've said, it's been very nice talking to you, Janice, but now I must go. Goodbye.
I don't think so.
Well, Janice, something tells me that if you and I were to do this speed researching kind of a thing, we might spend a little bit more time than just, that 10 or 15 minutes. Don't you think?
Well, you got to go back to what I do for a living and my background and who I am. And I do connecting with people around the world because of our business. And I need to make fast and furious relationships and determine whether there's a fit, not talking business wise, but just as a relationship wise rapidly. And I could see me doing it. And I think if I had to put a thing around, let's say hypothetically, so there's Bruce, right? And let's say right now, so what I might say is, let's say maybe you're in a social setting and there's Bruce. I might say something like, you know what, Bruce, I feel connection to you. I'd really like to just, I don't know, hang out for a little bit and chat. And the problem is between the sexes, if I do that to Bruce is immediately going to go, well, yeah, baby. Or he's going to go, whoa, not really attracted, not feel. And I'm talking about socially. In a business wise, I could say, hey, Bruce, I see you do electric. Wow, I'd like to learn a little bit more about that. So now I put it in a safe zone. And I think what I'm struggling with, Susan, is that those people out there who maybe aren't there, like if I'm in a grocery store and I'm in line, well, first you have to be able to banter. The first thing you have to do is be able to banter with somebody. And I'm the queen of banter. I can talk to anybody, anywhere, anytime, and strike a conversation. So it's really easy for me. If I was in line, I might make a comment about, well, milk and beer, what's going on there? I might say something like that. And that person then talks back to me, and then I'll carry it on. And by the time they pay their check, I might say something like, that was really fun, or, but then you go, so it depends on your personality. I can see a lot of people out there feeling really uncomfortable initiating this. So maybe starting with friends, like you've got friends and you might say, I just really want to step out and talk to a few people. Do you have somebody you might be able to connect me with? I mean, I'm trying to get it safe for those people watching going, how do I do this? How do I do this?
It takes practice. That's all.
Yeah.
But it is definitely a growth experience.
I can see that.
And my clients love it once they start doing it.
Mm-hmm.
They start having fun with it. And they get to meet some really interesting people. And it's not like I tell them you can't date forever. What I'm saying is don't instantly jump into, here's my number, call me. And I'm saying that to the men as well. Don't say, oh, let me call you. It's like, have a conversation. Haven't you met somebody on an airplane you've had a great conversation with, and you're never going to see them ever again in your life?
Constantly.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they don't have such great conversations.
And some of them are terrible, right?
I wish they'd move seats.
Yeah. But the reality of it is this particular step, this love yourself step, it's more about learning about yourself than it is about learning about the men. Although you learn what you're attracted to, and when you keep this, what you're attracted to and what turns you off, what you're defining is who you're looking for in a person, and what are your deal breakers. What are the things that are going to cause you to say, okay, this person is 95% who I'm looking for, but there's that 5% that's a deal breaker and I have to walk away. And that's the hardest ones to walk away from, by the way, the ones that are 95% what you're looking for.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Even if you don't know what you want, 100% of what you want. Yes, I totally agree with that. Because I mean, what I do as a guy who enjoys relationships, and a long-term relationship person, I am. What I do is I will work tirelessly for that 5% to click in, because I'm fascinated, I guess, by the idea of spending my entire 9 or 10 years in a relationship, on that 5%. It's ridiculous, to tell you the truth. I mean, I've had a 9-year relationship that ended in divorce. I've had a 15-year relationship that ended in a divorce. What the hell am I doing? But after a while, I start to think like, yeah, I don't think I really know how relationships work at all. But that's why I would come and listen to something like this. Now, what exactly are you defining, Susan, as somebody's comfort zone? Because I'm interested in the way that you put that, getting what you want, dating outside your comfort zone. Is that like dating somebody that, or in your terms to begin with, doing your research, is it like, like I don't have a type, for instance. I don't have a racial type. I don't have a body type. I don't have parts of the body that I have to have, involved. It's just not that way for me. And so I find it kind of like, I don't even know what the comfort zone is, apparently.
Well, if you think of it,
I'm always going
out the people that you normally encounter on a daily basis, that's your comfort zone. Okay. So when you are going out to different places where you normally don't go, you might meet people that you normally wouldn't encounter. That could be outside your comfort zone. So,
well, if you're anything like I perceive Janice and I being, we ultimately go out of our comfort zone a lot. Do you find that, Janice? I mean, for me anyway, it's like I go out. I'm always out in some manner of speaking, and that's why I enjoy meeting a lot of different people, very, very different backgrounds, and maybe that's why I don't really have any kind of feel for, this isn't the right person to be around right now. I think everybody has something to offer, so I'm always curious about that.
You're probably somebody who has stretched their comfort zone a great deal. You can just stretch it a bit farther,
You just have to identify the flaws. Like if you usually see people like around your age, you must seek younger. You must seek older. If you don't have a physically type of person, try a different social type of person. That can do the trick.
I can say this. I've been in relationships with people in completely different social strata than I. I've been in relationship with somebody who was 20 years older than me when I was 20, and again, I was like in my 30s.
I would say, Bruce, you're probably an exception.
Well, I know, and that's the thing. Like, I don't feel like I can really fit into any particular. It's why something like this, while it's very interesting to me, I'm just not too sure like what that looks like for somebody who has no particular feel for what it is that they.
So I can tell you from my own experience that I too have met people from every culture, every financial, and working in the emergency department as I did, I met all sorts of people, and had intimate conversations with most of them, actually, because in the emergency room, that's what you start with is intimate conversation.
Absolutely.
What is your history? What do you, what kind of diseases do you have? What's your health like? What's your living situation? and asking those type of questions. So having that,
Bullets to
you know,
I'm thinking no job, no car, and lives with his parents.
Yeah.
And in his 50s.
And what I tell
that would be out of my comfort zone.
What I tell my clients who are starting,
that would be officially out of my comfort zone.
is you must have a conversation with somebody who's at least one homeless, one multimillionaire, one person living at home, somebody half your age, somebody twice your age. I mean, you have to go outside the boundaries of what you consider to be normal.
I just got it. What you're not saying, okay, so this is where I got confused. You're not saying go find somebody to potentially date outside your comfort. You're just saying go have conversations and just listen to people.
Yes.
That maybe you haven't met me. Okay, I get it. Because I was getting confused because I was thinking like I might see, addicted grammar or Bruce walking down the road, and I might be like, hey, can I like have an intimate conversation with you? This is where you could call in friends and family, or if you're at a party, you just pull aside. So let's go back. I need to go back a little bit. So let's say I'm at a party and I walk around. Let's take the wedding thing, and I see, somebody. It's just taking the chance to walk up and have a conversation with them. And what you're saying is, don't just be like, "Hi, it's a nice weather." You start with the small talk, but then maybe you ask them a little bit more. And what you're listening for is your likes and dislikes.
Yes.
So could you even talk to couples? Like you got a couple sitting there, and you're like,
"Yes, you talk to anyone."
Okay.
Yes.
So that was where I was confused. Okay.
Well, I understand that. She was quite understandable, Susan. She was just saying that inside small talks, you just need to do questions that you can know the person better. You
want to know how they treat the opposite sex? You ask them about their mother, or you ask about sisters, or you ask about brothers if you're a man.
So you might say something like, if I was talking, does it have to be just, you're talking about, if I'm a female, I'm talking to a man. If it's a man, he's talking to a female. That's the goal, right?
Well, that's the goal if you're wanting to expand your consciousness about who the opposite sex is for you.
So I would go up. Let's say I was chatting with Bruce right here. I might be like, hey, wow, this is a beautiful place. Look at the architecture, blah blah blah. And then as we kind of sit and chat a little bit, I might say, I'm pushing a little bit further, but I might say something like, well, Bruce, are your parents alive? Are they still here? And he says yes. And I'm like, well, where do they live? And it's like, oh, they're right next door to me. I take care of my mom every day. I might say, wow, what's going on? And you listen. What you're listening for is what's your relationship with your mother? And I go, ooh, I like that. Or they say, nah, I don't talk to my mom very much. In fact, I'm really disconnected from my family. And I go, nah, I'm so connected to family. I need that.
Yes.
It'd be hard for me to be with somebody who's very disconnected with their family or at odds because I'm so connected to my family.
You realize that in these conversations, you're learning about yourself.
Got it.
Okay. You just need to read between the lines.
I think something that I'm getting is that from what you were saying, Susan, doing this dating outside your comfort zone, or at least doing the research outside of your comfort zone, as we were getting to, that it actually defines your boundaries. Does it not?
Yes.
Bruce.
And that's part of you getting to love yourself, getting to know yourself, and be able to express what it is that you need in a relationship to another person, saying, this is kind of like where I'm at, and these are the things that I really need. I really do need constant contact.
Well, what you're defining is you're defining your must-haves in terms of what you're looking for in relationship, and you're defining what you won't tolerate in terms of your deal breakers.
Got it. No, it makes sense now. I'm sorry, I was a little dense on that one.
Well, maybe I didn't explain it very clearly, but
okay. So this is about okay.
Yeah, I just have a question to Bruce. As you said earlier, you're the type of person who just want to wait, just talk a bit, know the person better. Does your dates respect you while you have that opinion, or they just try to jump in, they jump out. I don't know if you understand my question.
I do understand what you're saying. I think that probably I'm not really good at dating because I find that sort of uncomfortable spot very quickly, where somebody is defining something, they're perhaps wanting to define something for me that I haven't even defined for myself, perhaps. And so it gets to that point where I'm thinking, yeah, I don't know how to do like the the dating talk. It's sort of like if you were in a bar. I'm not a good bar person at all because I like to zero in on who that person is and what they're actually saying. I can't deal with all the extraneous noise happening around me. It's just
you can't focus on the person. You can't give the attention that you want.
My suggestion is that you don't do dating talk. You do authentic talk. You do things like, your question might be, well, what do you do when you're not working?
Yeah, I like that.
Blabbing.
Blabbing, a lot of blabbing right now.
I'm supposed to be working and I'm blabbing.
Well,
seriously, I mean, you're going to find out what people's passions are when you ask them, what do you do when you're not working?
Well, I'm sorry.
To do that roundabout kind of question, you're really getting to the same answer. And if you were just to say to somebody, like, what are your hobbies? It's sort of, it's like really kind of a brash kind of way to say it. I like your approach a lot more. Like, what do you do on your downtime? What do you do for fun? Rather than to say to sort of structure it in a different way. Perhaps I think to get to your question, addicted to
call me Marco.
Michael.
No.
Marco.
Oh, Marco.
That's Marco. Exactly.
Wow.
So, Marco, to answer your question succinctly, I guess sometimes the respect is there. I kind of like get this strange thing sometimes, though. Like, some women will be like so taken aback by the fact that I'm not like willing to jump in bed with them that night that they're like, oh, okay, wait, hold on. What's the problem? You have a problem? So then it goes, a whole different direction.
Yes, I understand you. I just asked that because there's a major problem in relationships that sometimes we know what we want from the other person, but we can't offer what she wants. You know what I mean? That's a major problem. I understand what Susan said. Susan said that if you can't handle the environment, just try to do the talk on a natural environment, like a park, like a lounge, coffee, not a bar. That's the main noise. Just try to go to your comfort zone, but not stay out your comfort zone on the person, not on the place. You know what I mean? Just control the environment. Don't control the person.
Well, yeah, I'm not really a controlling person anyway, but I do, one thing that I did find out about myself is that I really, really like people who are in control of themselves. I do not like it when people try to extend that control on me. It makes me feel
I love that. So true.
It's so true. Yes.
I used to think that I kept on getting involved with these controlling people in my life, and I was like, God, what the hell is going on here? Until I realized that it's out of respect that I so respect somebody who is in control of themselves and who can make their own decisions. Like I don't like being around people who are like, oh, I don't know what I want to do. What do you want to do? And I'm just like, oh God, this is not going to work for me. So much rather somebody saying, You know what I really haven't done for a long time? I haven't gone to the symphony. Do you go to symphonies? Wow, I don't go to symphonies very often, but I'd really like to go. Hey, let's go to a symphony. Boom, and we're off.
Mm.
You know, is a really, really nice exchange for me. Isn't it? Doesn't that feel good? You know, just like the way that you proper it, you know, is totally different.
Yeah, sometimes that's good. But
So there's a comment over here. Where's the fun in this conversation? And Jonathan Hendon would put, where's the fun in this conversation? To me, the fun is exploring people. And, you know, you kind of have to be a people person to play this scenario. You know, you have to be into finding out, well, who are people and why do they do what they do? And that, to me, is more fun than anything else in the world, is exploring who people are. And I don't know if that's true for you guys or not, but I think it's true for me, and I think it's true for most people, that it's fun to meet new people that you actually like.
yes, of course.
Well, it's fun for me because I spent my entire life and career exploring people. And I find them very fascinating and interesting. And so, and I don't know if Jonathan's asking, what's the fun in our conversation or the conversation? Okay. Do we need to get funner, Jonathan?
I think so.
Well,
I think that's what he's asking, but I'm not sure.
So what's the next one? So we really dug into this one, and we've unboxed this idea of exploring yourself. So what's the next step? What's the thing?
Okay, the next thing is learning how to ask for what you want.
Okay, so now I know what I want. I got clarity around that.
Okay, so when you learn how to ask for what you want, there is a formula for asking what you want from anyone.
Okay, perfect. I'm ready.
Okay, it's a very simple formula.
Okay.
You acknowledge first. You acknowledge them sincerely, not pandering, but sincerely acknowledge somebody for something. Like, Bruce, really, I appreciate your sensitivity. I actually truly appreciate your sensitivity. And then you ask, I'd love for you to join me on my next BLAB. So that's asking for what I want. And then you have to appreciate any movement in that direction. So, I mean, I could give you examples of that with clients as well, where for the most part, men say no to everything at first. That's a generality. It's not all men, and it's not every time. But in the beginning, what you will find, if you're in a relationship with a man and you ask him for something, he's going to say no initially. And that's because men need to get their motor started. They've got to think about it. They've got to analyze it. They've got to say, oh, yeah, well, this will work or that'll work. And they get there. And I use movies to teach with, by the way. And one of my favorite movies to teach this principle of learning how to ask for what you want is The African Queen. And you guys should watch The African Queen with the idea of learning how to ask for what you want. And it's really an amazing thing. It's what happens is this, is you when you acknowledge people for something, and you can do this with your boss, with your kids, with your spouse, with your friends, with anyone, you acknowledge them first sincerely. But it has to be sincere. It can't be like, oh, wow, you really look great today, and you don't mean it, okay? Because they see right through it. But you have to acknowledge them sincerely for something. And then you ask directly for exactly what you want. Like, you can ask for what you want for your birthday. You can ask for 6 months in advance. You can say to a man, I really appreciate the fact that you listen to me so well, that you actually hear what I'm saying when I talk to you. And acknowledge them in that way and say, and this year for my birthday, I'd like to go to Santa Barbara for the weekend. And then
we're going to go visit Bruce.
We're going to go visit Bruce.
We're visiting Bruce.
I'm not there now. It's just that's where I came.
Oh, okay.
And you can put that away, and then a man will remember that. They do remember. If you open the pathway so they can hear what you're asking. But if you start asking, then you nag and nag and nag and nag, it's not going to happen. You don't get. So that's learning how to ask for what you want.
There's definitely something, that guys do. I find it is true more than women. And maybe it's just because I've talked to a lot of guys about this, but there is a certain kind of tone that somebody will get to as a woman, and we shut it off. It's like when as soon as you said, that you acknowledge and you ask for something. So you're acknowledging previous to asking for it that the person is a good listener, and that they're paying attention. So it like puts the person on point. It's like, uh-oh, hold on a second. Something's coming up here. I better, fulfill that prophecy. It's kind of it's actually quite manipulative, but it's kind of nice to be manipulated that way.
Well, but it's really not manipulative if you're being sincere. It's only manipulative if you're doing it to manipulate.
I don't mean manipulative in a negative sense necessarily, because I think that most interactions with human beings are manipulative by nature. We manipulate each other's reactions to things by the way that we proffer something. If I say to you, if you're asking me, for instance, does this make me look fat? As a man, when I hear that question, I'm just like, oh my God.
It's a no-win question. That's a no-win question.
It's definitely a no-win question. And my answer actually to that is, look, I'm not looking at you as your girlfriend would look at you. I'm looking at you as I have an interest in you. Therefore, I'm not able to see, these things that you're trying to point out to me, nor will it do you any good if I do start to see them, because then all I'm going to do is focus in on that.
So let me give you an example. Let me give you an example of this thing. I have a friend, and she's actually not a client of mine. She's just a friend of mine. She's been married to this man for 20 years, and she's been telling me for years, he never listens to anything I tell him. And I said, well, if you use my little system, you might get a better response. So one day she decided that she was going to do this, and she needed him to fix her computer. So she starts telling him how much she appreciates all the technical things that he does in the house, and that how he's so knowledgeable about technology and about computers and all this stuff. And she's saying to herself, oh, he's going to see right through this. He's going to know that I am just loading him with stuff. And so she continues acknowledging him, and then she tells him she wants him to fix her computer. And normally his response is, oh, I'll get to it later. But he went and did it. And then he comes back to her later, and as she was sitting there telling me, oh, I was sure that he was going to say, why are you just pandering to me? And she said, he came back to me and he said, that's the nicest way you've ever asked me to do anything since we've been married. So
can I share something with you? This is a great story. There's my girlfriend years ago, we were doing something, and she said, we could have done it ourselves. She goes, oh no, this is a mayonnaise moment. And I go, what? She goes, no, it's a mayonnaise moment. And I said, okay, well, what's a mayonnaise moment? She's going to go get her husband to help us. And I said, okay, what's a mayonnaise moment? And she goes, well, when you have the mayonnaise jar in your hand and you can't get it quite open, but you can open it. You could tap it. You can get the little squishy thing out. She goes, but a mayonnaise moment is when you go to your husband and you say, honey, can you do this for me? And he goes, yeah, and it's that empowerment where they go, I'm needed. Men need to be needed. Men need to know that they're respected and needed. And we call those mayonnaise moments where, you approach them from the standpoint of, versus openness. You come and you say, will you help me? I need you here. You know what I mean?
I said this earlier, and I'm going to say it again because this is very, very true. Men want approval and appreciation more than they want sex.
Go on, Marcos. Jump in.
Yes. I was just arguing.
He's on it. Okay.
It's not only for Susan, it's for you too. It's for you too. Do you have anything against computer technicians?
No. Not at all.
Look, I am a computer technician, an IT guy, and on our life, working on IT is like being married. You don't, while it's working, there's no thanks at all. But when it breaks down, you're in deep shit. That's true. Yes.
I've never heard an IT professional saying that it's like being married. That's really something else.
But yeah,
That's interesting.
I'm gonna have a conversation with our IT director.
You're better. I am an IT on a major bank here in Portugal, and I have a lot of work, despite being in. Despite it's like 70-30, and I am home already, plenty of time, and they don't know about it. But,
They know now. They just, if they're watching BLAB, they know.
it better not. No, it's that. I'm working good. There's nothing broke. I'm watching that supports page we have. But Bruce, if you see the major point in there, it's like being married. When you're married, the common relationships, you might be a perfect guy and you don't even get thanks by just fixing the window. That's little bit that little things that men like being appreciated.
Yep.
Like, oh, you done that thing right, nice. That it's a little thing that men like. That's what Susan was saying. But we like more sex. That's right.
All right, that's the bottom line.
I'm not saying you don't like sex. That isn't what I said at all. What I said is,
oh, I like it.
we all do. And I think women like sex as much as men do. It's just not socially acceptable for them to say so.
Oh, really?
Not quite, Susan. At least the Europeans. At least the Europeans.
All right. So you got asked. So ask nicely. Ask in a way that's very
that they can hear you. You've got to make sure they hear you. That's the key.
Okay.
And
all right.
ask directly for what you want, not hinting, because men don't hear hints.
Like, that's true.
A 2x4 wouldn't work sometimes.
Right. Okay, so that's the A.
It's not we don't listen to hints. It's that
you don't hear them.
Me, I don't like it. I don't like it when somebody is hinting around because it's just like, would you get the freaking point? You know,
like they can ask for
three daughters, okay, and the two older ones are both in long-term married relationships, okay. And what I can tell you is this: and personally, I have to say this: my daughters don't listen to my coaching at all. They refuse to listen because I'm their mother. But the bottom line is this: I have observed in relationships all over the place that a woman can hint about something and say, oh, you know, I'd really like to do this, or I'd really like to do that. And then a man will jump through hoops trying to give them exactly what it is they think they want. And then they deliver what it is they think, and they bring it. And the woman goes, well, that's not it at all. That isn't what I wanted. You're so stupid. And really just read the men. And it's like, stop it. You know, if you want something, ask for what you want. Don't hint around about it.
I don't have anything against women, but most of the times they don't know what they want.
I agree. I agree.
And they start hinting. And we got more confused than we were before.
They don't have the clarity about what it is they exactly want. And that's a lot of the work that I do with my clients is I make them really figure out, well, what is it you really want? What do you really want?
That's
you to read my mind.
That's the major.
That.
Well, yeah, that is an established fact that women want men to read their minds. But, you know, they're not capable of doing it. Men don't have the intuitive connections that women do.
Well, we can't read your mind either. I mean, we nobody can read each other's minds. We have, and it all boils down for me is communicate. And that's just, you know, it's not going to work if you don't.
So you wanted me to get through the last
I know, please. I'm looking at the time. It's almost 10 o'clock in the morning.
I actually have a client in a few minutes.
10 o'clock? Really?
Yeah, I have a client at 10 o'clock. So we have 20 minutes.
Okay. Okay, so go to the next one. So
all right, the next one is
10 o'clock.
Success. It's California time.
Yeah,
No.
here is 20 to 6 p.m.
This is 10 o'clock in the morning. It'll be. Okay, so the first S stands for success with the 3 essential ingredients, which is chemistry, compatibility, and love with respect. Okay, if you have chemistry and compatibility and love with respect, and I'm talking about compatibility with your deal breaker issues, and everybody's deal breaker issues are different. So, but first, if you're missing the chemistry, what's going to happen is you'll end up being roommates and the sex will go away. If you are missing compatibility, you'll end up with an issue like the one that I had, where he was 43 and wanted 3 kids, and I'm 69 and can't even think about getting pregnant or wouldn't consider it. That's a compatibility issue. Religion can be a compatibility issue. Money can be a compatibility. Smoking cigarettes, doing drugs, alcohol, pretty much where you want to live. Somebody wants to live on a farm and someone wants to live in the city. Those are compatibility issues. And most people that I find when they get divorced, they have compatibility issues that they knew about before they married that person in the first place. And they went, it will go away. That'll resolve itself, or they'll change their mind. I had a couple client when I was doing couples who it took me 3 months to get them to tell me the truth. But the truth was that he wanted children and she didn't. And he knew it before he married her. And she said, absolutely not. I don't want to have any children. And I said, well, what made you marry her anyway? And he said, I figured she'd change her mind.
Bad idea.
But isn't the compatibility issue, like if I seek a person like me, won't the relationship get bored?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you're asking.
Is a relationship won't get boring if we're just like
no,
to each
and
other?
you don't have to be identical. Nobody says you have to be identical. Nobody says you have to be the same.
You just have to come up. That's why you were talking about compromise earlier.
Right.
That if you find compromise within those compatibility issues,
I mean,
those deal breakers.
You can have different political issues and still be married to each other. I mean, you can.
I understand.
You can do that.
I understand.
And be happy with it.
And unless you're about politics all the time, and then you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
As I said to Bruce earlier, the comfort zone, like the social type of women. As I said, I dated a submissive. I think that's how you call a submissive woman, and it wasn't for me. I needed a bossy woman, and I indeed. And later on, I found a bossy woman and a different class woman. That's why we complete each other. But
it's true, and I'm not saying you have to be identical at all. But what you have to have in terms of compatibility is you have to have compatibility with your deal breaker issues. And if you don't know what your deal breaker issues are, you can walk into a situation and, 20 years later, it's going to show up and you'll get divorced 20 years later.
Well, that's what young people don't understand. And we understand that because we know it's going to show up.
Right.
Are you saying that I'm young?
Yes.
Yes. Younger than we are.
I was going to say, compared, I don't know about Bruce, but I'm looking at the silver hair. I assume he doesn't do that on purpose.
I have one silver here too.
I have one silver.
Well, I don't have any silver hair, and I'm older than all of you.
Oh, you must have a really good hairdresser.
No, I just don't have any gray hair.
Oh, well, I do.
I'm one of those people, Anyway, and the other issue is the love with respect. If you don't have this love with respect, somebody's going to cheat. And that's going to end the relationship. And even though fidelity doesn't necessarily have to be the primary thing in everybody's relationship, because not everyone gets married for the same reasons. There are people who get married for status and for political position and for money and for all kinds of other reasons. and fidelity is not their highest value. And there are people
You're talking about Washington.
I'm talking about everywhere. But if you think about it, people get married for different reasons. People get married for security. People get married to get out of their situation. People get married to move on to a different part. People get married for green cards, for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
And
what if as you said, that problems, that issues that we need to identify in a relationship, we can identify it while we're starting the relationship. What if they come after?
Here's my issue. Well, if they come after, that's a different thing. But generally speaking, and I will say this from my 25 years of doing this kind of coaching, what I have noticed is that most people get divorced for something they knew about before they got married.
Mm.
Yes.
And I won't say all. I won't say all.
Yeah.
I would never say all, but I would say the majority of the compatibility issues that show up were there before they got married, and they knew it.
Yes, like you said, that the children is a major issue between most couples. I understand that. I understand that because
And
when
it may take 20 years for it to manifest.
Yes, I know. When I start, that's an issue on my relationship, as that matter. When I started this relationship, I hadn't children. Now I have one, and I'm still on the same relationship. And I want another child, but she didn't want. Now she wants, and
that's pretty common too, Marco. It really is.
Yes, I know, but that makes my mind. That I started the relationship 5 months after I already had a child, not from her, from another woman. Was made before the relationship. For like 3 years, she didn't want kids. She didn't want. Now she wants a kid, and we're trying, but it isn't that easy. She had an abortion. It made things shake a lot, and we're trying.
Bruce.
Yes.
Anyway, yes, deal breaker issues can manifest later, but I think most of the time, people get married. They go down the aisle because the invitations have been sent, and it's like, oh, I can't cancel this now. And there are people who are not afraid to cancel it now, but I just have seen so much of that where people end up getting divorced at some point because of something they knew about before they actually got married.
Mm.
And it's not 100% true. Nothing's 100% true. I just know that if you have these three ingredients, if you have good chemistry and you have compatibility with your deal breaker issues and you have love and respect for each other as human beings, you have a good foundation. You have a place to start. Doesn't mean it's going to be perfect, and there's no guarantee that the relationship's going to work. But you have a really good foundation. You have a place to start, and at least you have a place to start with a relationship that can move forward. And you learn it. You learn as you go because nothing is static. And things can happen that are going to change. Things, shit happens in life.
That was quite
Is that your
clear.
professional opinion?
That's my professional opinion. So the last S, I want to get to the last S. Yeah. Okay, the last S stands for once you've done all the work that I give people to do in those first 4 steps and really have seriously done the work, and you've grown to be a different person, then women own their power, feminine power. And I don't mean power over men. It's not power over men at all. It's just owning the fact that, we do the choosing. We do the ending. We are the ones who dictate how fast the relationship is going to move, and we're the ones who dictate when sex is going to happen. It's not up to the men, it's up to the women. And so consequently, once you own your personal power, your feminine power, you can walk into, you're ready to step up and step out, and you can walk into a room anywhere. And I have proven this. I have proven this to myself. I've proven it to other clients, that you can walk into a room of 5,000 people and you can look around the room and say, I want to know that one. And you can choose anybody you want, and you can, and attract that person into your life. Now, you may not want to keep them once you get them there. You may find out that, okay, that one looks attractive, but oh, no, thank you. But the reality is that you can choose to have anybody in your life that you want to have in your life. So, you just move in that direction. And once you earn your feminine power and you've done this work that I developed into this crazy system 25 years ago, I've just watched it work over and over and over again. And people get married and they end up having long-term relationships that are fabulous. And, I have a pretty good track record for it. So it's really an amazing system. And the comfort zone piece of it is really very powerful. It actually expands us as human beings. And we get to grow and be bigger and more authentic and more powerful human beings. And I think that's what good relationship is all about, is that there's two people who are together because they want to be together and they contribute to each other.
Oh, great.
So it's kind of my stuff. I have to end this because I do have a client in a few minutes. Thank you guys all for coming. If you want to know more about me, my website is gettingwhatyouwant.com. I absolutely will offer a strategy meeting to anybody. I don't charge for strategy meetings, and they go up to be as long as 90 minutes, and we just end up with a strategy for you to move forward. Or if you want to continue to work with me, you can continue to work with me, but you don't have to. And I have different things on my website. I'm going to show you quickly my books, 2 of them. This one is Dating After 40, No More Excuses. It's a little tiny pamphlet. It's 99 cents on Kindle.
I'm sorry, that won't do for me.
This one is How to Get What You Want from Your Man Anytime, which is
I'm ordering that one.
Entire strategy that I just talked to you about. It's not labeled the Love with Class, like I call it that now, because I wrote this book in 2003, and I didn't name the system until 2008. So,
rewrite it, re-release it.
I am going to, but I haven't got there yet.
That's
and then
unfair.
This is another book. We're doing a whole series of these. It's called Discover Your I, and this one is on identity. This is the first one. There's 15 stories of different people discovering their identity. Mm-hmm. And the book that we're recruiting authors for right now is called Inspiration. So if you have an inspirational story you'd like to share with somebody, you can go to the discoveryourbooks.com, put your story in there, and we'll invite you to be an author. And that's kind of the work that I do. But I'm happy to give strategy sessions to anybody who's interested, and have a conversation about whether I can help you or not. And I never commit to helping people that I don't think I can help.
Well, it was wonderful meeting you, Susan. This was a fun
nice
class.
meeting you.
Most of the things I do is business oriented, so this is kind of fun just to do one that's going. I'm following you, so I'll get notices when you pop up, and if I can,
I've got another one scheduled for tomorrow.
Okay, well, if I can get on it, I'll see if I can pop on there.
I'll try not to make them 2 hours long.
Well, the only way to do that is to really be a moderator. Have either get a moderator to help you moderate it, or you really have to hold the moderation.
I would love to actually have more interaction with the people who were writing notes. It's very difficult to do that and participate in the conversation at the same time. You kind of need somebody to watch the monitor for you.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky.
This was my very first one.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Fascinating conversation.
Thank everybody for coming. I'm going to turn off the recording.
Bye, Susan.
And I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.